I'm Luke Cage. You wanna test me? You know where to find me. Ooh, got it all, man.
Heyo and welcome to the Parker Project, and in today's video of Reflix, we're going to be doing a spoil-free review, recap, and reflection on Luke Cage Season 2. To start off, this season is a mixed bag for me. There are a lot of things that the writers of Netflix and Marvel got right, and some fairly important things that they got wrong. Before I go any further, I'd like to say that I watched an entire season, and this is just my honest opinion. However, you may have a completely different opinion than me and love or hate the season in its entirety. Now that that's out of the way, like I was saying, Season 2 of Luke Cage left me wondering if this is the new style that Netflix and Marvel have taken up, especially after Iron Fist. The main thing that I didn't like about this season was the pacing. It just felt like it took too long during some points, almost to the point where it felt like a chore to watch the last few episodes. On the other side of that coin, I definitely love some of the character development, music, and action scenes with all the main characters. It kept that Luke Cage magic. And in this review, I plan to break down the major working parts of this season, spoiler free of course, in order to give you an informed review. So, let's begin. Let's begin with character development, specifically with Luke Cage, as he is the main character of the show. Luke Cage starts out being seen as Harlem's hero, and is loved by the people of Harlem, the protector that won't let anything happen to this crime-infested community. That is until the events of Bushmaster unfold and completely flip his world upside down. He not only gets grounded by his punch, but it sets off a series of events where Luke Cage is really tested as a person and must keep his integrity throughout the season. I find this was mainly a problem for Luke Cage in the start of the season, but then he quickly grew back to himself, like in Season 1. Now for the other characters. We see a return of Mariah and Shades as we thought we would, along with Claire, Misty, and Bobby. Each one is given their own set of problems, either in the beginning or midway through the season that they have to deal with. Out of these characters, I found I like Shades' progress the most. We really got to see him deal with some hard problems that would mold his character into something I didn't really expect. Mariah, however, I didn't like as much. I felt like her character was more stagnant and just plain annoying halfway through the season. Lastly, the villain, Bushmaster. Bushmaster is one of my favorite villains in the Marvel Netflix universe so far. He has a good backstory with an interesting way of obtaining his power that does tie into the other characters' lives in one way or another.
It's mine.
I think that the guy they casted for the role fits perfectly, and if it was any other person delivering it any other way, it might have been a forgettable experience. The way the characters interacted with each other overall was okay. This is probably what didn't help the pacing though, as there was a lot of talking and consoling in other characters that was just boring at some point. While there were exciting exchanges and there were witty comments and remarks giving comic relief, these boring points just came up way too often, especially in the middle of the season. Yes, it was nice to hear and see what the character was going through, but these parts had excessive moments of silence or dragged on conversations. Critical fans are going to be disappointed here. While the characters are great and the plot is good, the structure of how it's done feels very similar to other Marvel Netflix TV shows. Sure, it's a great structure anyways, but after seeing it in several iterations, it would have been nice to have a change up or a curveball thrown where no one would expect a certain event to happen. That being said, there is a few curveballs throughout the season, but the only big one I found was obviously on the last episode, as we'd all expect one to be there. How Bushmaster is worked in with the old villains is really nice to see. It was a treat to see all the characters interact with one another on some form. He's a good change up from Diamondback, who personally I thought was somewhat of a forgettable villain. I also did like the sense that there was someone equal to Luke Cage. It did keep you on the edge of your seat whenever Bushmaster and Cage fought. As for the rest of the story, it does have some good depth to it, and it is enjoyable when it's not being dragged on through these long and boring scenes where nothing happens. The season's plot feels like it's more centered around Mariah and her family, along with Bushmaster and his backstory and how Luke Cage reacts to it, rather than being centered around Luke Cage, which is nice for a change. So, like I was saying, the big problem with Luke Cage Season 2 is the pacing. At points it feels dragged on and like a chore to watch, but at other points it's offset with a display of great storytelling, action scenes, and character development that makes you want to keep watching to find out what happens to those characters. Personally, I'd like to see the Marvel Netflix writers work on their system. Either add more depth and a faster pace for 13 episodes, or simply just reduce the number of episodes so it doesn't feel like the dragged out story that I've been noticing lately. I'm looking at you, season 2 of Jessica Jones. Currently, it just doesn't feel like the original feeling I've gotten with the season 1 of Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, or Punisher, and I'd like to see them captivate that feeling in their next project. And to wrap up this episode of Reflix, Luke Cage season 2 is overall good. It can have its moments, but a lot of other factors that make a good TV series is there, and I do think it's worth a watch. Alright, so what do you guys think? Do you agree with the points I've made, or do you think I'm an idiot? Either way, leave a comment down below letting me know. If you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Also hit that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.